Hi, I'm Karina Smirnoff, and you're watching A Braveheart View.
I'm Tava Smiley, and you are watching A Braveheart View.
I'm Rolanda Watts, and you're watching A Braveheart View.
Hello, I'm Ellie Drake, and you're watching A Braveheart View.
Hello, I'm Ellie Drake, and welcome to A Braveheart View, conscious television on the internet. Today's topic, awakening the spirit within. What does that mean? Joining me as your hosts are three remarkable Braveheart women. You remember her from her own successful syndicated TV talk show called Rolanda. Here is Rolanda Watts.
Thank you, Ellie.
You know our next host from her years of acting on General Hospital and also as a host on Clean Sweep for the Learning Channel. Here's Tava Smiley. And finally, a world champion ballroom dancer. We know her from Dancing with the Stars, Karina Smirnoff.
Thank you, thank you.
Our guest today is a beautiful, wait till you see her, beautiful actress, TV host, spiritual motivator, and most importantly, a mom. You know her from her many TV and film appearances, as well as being married at one time to Donald Trump. She currently has a radio show called Awakening. We'd like to welcome Marla Maples.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie.
So nice to have
Oh,
you
it's
here.
so good to see and feel all this beauty right here on this panel.
And look at you.
yeah.
Look at you.
It's like the flower in the middle.
Thank you very much. I'm very perfectly surrounded. It feels very good here.
So are you tired of this whole at one time being married to Donald Trump thing that everybody keeps saying? You have it on your website, so I figured we could say.
Oh, is it on my website? You know, I believe everything in life, it just takes you to the next step you're meant to be in, and that was a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And the greatest gift, of course, is my daughter Tiffany, who you've all met. So with that, I have to just embrace and say, I'm so grateful for all of it. Was it easy? No. It was really a hard time, and you know, you were in New York.
Marla and I've known each other for a long time, way back in the day before the New York Post did all the spread, and she's always been such a lovely, gracious lady. And it was so tough to watch you, knowing how sweet you are, to watch, you know, as difficult as the situation it was, you went through the ringer there. I mean, the reporters, and I was one of them, we were tracking you down, and you were on the news every single day. How did you get through that? Because you were so balanced now, and you're so, you know, at peace with everything. That was a tough time.
It was really about hanging on for dear life, I think, more than anything I could share with you today
Yeah.
that I've learned to be able to heal what happened back then. I just was very fortunate to have really good friends around me that knew me, knew my heart, wonderful parents, and I just felt that God would not put me in that situation unless there was a divine purpose. And I did push and push maybe a lot to make a situation be something that it never was meant to be. And that's the hardest thing, I think, is when we try to change people, or we try to change what actually is versus just really being in it and being who we are in it.
Yeah.
And I tried to change myself also to fit into that world. And doing that was just so, there was no happiness for me in it. If you're
And
trying
what
to
a
change
world
your soul.
to try to fit in. The
Oh,
Trump
hard.
world, come on.
Yeah, and you were 21 years old. You know?
I was
You've
so
learned so
pretty
much.
young.
I'm sure you've seen the whole thing about Elizabeth Edwards and the whole interview with Oprah, or you've heard of it. If you were interviewing her, how would your take on the whole thing?
You know, I did not see that interview, and I will try to look it up and see it now. But I just think, you know, for someone like her, it's about knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Now's her time to really tune into who she is.
Yeah.
What makes her happy? She needs to live for her passion, connect to her divine source, and find a way to live one day at a time. And you know, I was a big fan of both of them, and of course, you know, life shocks us sometimes. It's really sad when someone that we look up to does something that we think is wrong. Who are we to judge what's really wrong? I mean, life is a process. It's a learning experience. What you get from these situations is worth so much more.
Do you
than
think
any
we
of the
shock
pain.
ourselves sometimes?
That we shock ourselves?
I think, do you think we shock ourselves sometimes
Yeah.
by what we do?
Oh,
I mean, I think
yeah.
we do things we think, I never thought I would do that, and I just did it.
Well, you know, I think we sometimes we think things are okay that maybe aren't, or we have reasons to believe they are, and then we find out, well, maybe they really weren't.
Yeah.
You can go in with the right intentions and find out that, wow, was that really, you know, what was that choice about? But you can't beat yourself up for it. You just have to learn at that moment.
Dr. Maya Angelou has a great saying. She always says, we work with what we have at the time.
Yeah.
You know, we work with what we have at the time, and we do the best we can with what we have to work with. So we, you know, we go through that. But you're a trooper, girl. Because listen, let me touch you on that one.
Thank you.
Because you went through it.
And
You went
Yolanda,
through it.
You always had such a beauty. I mean, I was afraid to turn on the news for a lot of time, and you had such a beauty and spark of light about you, and it always felt safe. I knew we would connect.
I know.
I knew we would
So
connect.
we're
As
Southern
far as
girls in New
awaken-
York.
Yeah, as far as awaken the spirit within, how are you instilling what you have learned through all of your experiences, in this particular case, that experience in the past, into your daughter right now?
My daughter. She is her own unique soul, and I
Yeah.
really believe that we all have to find what it is that makes us special. I have given her the opportunity to study on a lot of different spiritual paths. I believe that it's good to understand how others make their connection to God.
Yeah.
I was born a Christian from the South. I've studied metaphysics. I've studied Buddhism. I've studied Kabbalah for 10 years. I believe that it's about finding what works for you and having tolerance for other people. So I really hope that I've taught her tolerance. She's a very kind girl. She has a beautiful spirit. She is a Libra. She loves to stay peaceful.
Yeah.
But you know, she has to learn that those challenges and those obstacles will come, but how are you going to handle it?
Yeah.
And she's just doing a really good job, and she helps me so much. I hope I can always be there for
Where
her.
do you start? How do you start awakening the spirit? Like, what's the first step?
I think the first step is just by having, you know, moments where you sit and you connect to something so far greater than this physical. As beautiful as all of us, you know, we all have our beauty. We all have what it is that makes us unique, but tuning in, just asking to see above it. I used to take myself through a meditation whenever I would get challenged, and I would literally take myself, Tiffany laughs at me, but she'd say, fly like an eagle, mommy, fly like an eagle. But if you really get in the perception of seeing above it all, just look as if we are all players here below, but look at the big picture. If you can take yourself as an eagle does and see above it all, see that
Bird's
expanse,
view.
see the bird's view, and it really helps bring you back to, okay, that's the bird's view. Now I'm here, I am gifted to be in this body, I'm going to be grateful, I'm going to count my blessings, and I'm going to say, okay, lead me. Let me feel your footsteps.
Lead
Marla,
me where
how-
you need me.
Yeah.
That's right.
How did you first get awakened? When did this happen for you?
Wow, I think those knocks were coming every step of the way. I remember being like a 7-year-old kid in my bed and having been to a church service where I came home and I was scared like Jesus was going to take me away from my parent. I was afraid of death in a way. I was afraid of what happened after death. I didn't want to lose my parents, and I was taught a little bit of hell, fire, and brimstone as a Southern Baptist. And you know, and it kind of scared me. And at that moment I was like, wait, Christ is so much more than that. You know, it's all about love. It's not about fear. So those little awakenings happened, you know, when I was younger. And then again, when you're loving someone with all your heart and soul and you think you're going to die without them, then you realize, am I really going to die without that person? No. No. So those were awakenings when you find out what your heart's about and who you are away from what you think can kill you.
I don't know where I would be today without my faith. In my believing in something so much bigger, believing that I'm in the right place where I'm supposed to be, believing that I'm good enough to love myself. And I don't know where I would be without that. And I meet people who don't have faith, who don't have that. How do you turn on somebody to that, who's a friend or maybe who is a teenager? Because most teenagers are like, I don't want to talk about that. How do you really capture the spirit?
I think it's just unconditional love. I think the more you can love each other, people when they are lost, and you can give them that unconditional love, that's the best.
Well, good for you though, because I truly feel. Don't you feel her peacefulness? She embodies it.
It's
She's
like
tranquility
now.
I feel
wanna
that.
meditate
The
right now.
vibration.
But y'all, she's always been like that. I'm
Really?
telling you.
Wow.
I've known her for a long time through everything, and she's always been gracious, always been that even keel. That's why, so I just been dying to know, how did you do it?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
People like you popping in, you just ask for the right people, they show up, and it helps keep you back on
Thank
the
you
track.
so much for being here. It's been amazing. You definitely have to come back. There's so much more to
you.
talk about. Thank you.
you.
Awaken the spirit within. Take it away, Rolanda.
Wow, that's great. To get more information about Marla Maples, log into braveheartview.com and click on resources.
Core Inner Circle members, you can also access Marla's exclusive video called How to Awaken the Spirit Within in your Core member section.
And finally, we want to hear your Braveheart view. So join us in a discussion forum after the show or watch more episodes. Go to braveheartview.com.
On behalf of our amazing guest, Marla Maples, and our panel, Rolanda, Tava, Karina, and myself, Ellie, thank you for connecting and peace in. Awaken.